Hello, my friends. Welcome back. I'm Omar Krieg. This is Week in Review for Week 4 of the 30-25 season for the Greyland Trios League. We're going to talk about all the wonderful things that have been taking place in this past week, with, of course, our typical recap and a look at some stats, and ultimately our bracket projections and predictions for Week 5. Starting off, our current standings are finally we have no ties anywhere on the leaderboard. We are currently looking at the American Industrialists leading the league at 41 cumulative victory points with 2 wins, 1 loss, and a draw. We've got the Davian Golden Suns in second place with 37 points. Currently, that should actually be, no, that's right. 3 wins, 0 losses, and a draw. We've got the Luthien Dragonborn, 35, 4-0. Liren Debutantes with 30 points, 2-2. We've got actually 4 teams sitting at 2-2 right now. Let's see. Liren Debutantes with 30 points, the Nationals with 25, Honeybees at 20, Crows at 17, the Spirits at 13, Wolverines at 12, and the Remoran opposition down at the very, very, very bottom. Despite having 1 win on the record, they just have not been able to score any points whatsoever. We've got a little bit of movement here. The Torian Nationals have moved up 2 places from 7th place to 5th with their win this week against the Cyan Spirits. And then the Honeybees, the Crows, and the Spirits all moved down 1 position from where they are, or rather 1 position from where they were last week. I meant to turn the camera off, so I apologize for that. There we go. That'll make it a little bit easier for you guys to see the board. Let's see. In the kills, once again, Clift is the league leader for kills. Rickstad and Delhay coming in tied at 2nd place along with Zhao. Rickstad and Delhay, as well as Suzuki and Takaram. You can see their names are highlighted differently. They have been drafted in previous weeks, so they will no longer be in contention for keeping track of their kills. They'll just be on the leaderboard until they fall off, basically. But yeah, we've got Clift at the very top, followed up by Rickstad of the Dragonborn, Delhay of the Nationals, and Zhao of the Industrialists. The Crows. Let's switch from the individual kills to the team total kills. The Debutantes leading with 8 combined kills across their team, and then we have a 3-way tie with the Dragonborn, Industrialists, and the Golden Suns at 7 kills apiece. One thing to note here, of course. Finally, the Remoran opposition managed somewhere along the way to get a kill. I think they must have taken out a light. I honestly don't remember, and I'm not even trying to make a joke of them. As I recall, actually, the opposition may have had a kill from like week 1 in the 1 match that they won. I think it was actually I honestly don't remember at this point. I don't remember where that one. What the big change was. Anyway, regardless, Clift is in the lead. Debutantes are in the lead for combined team kills. Wealth and growth. Again, we've been looking at this as a kind of a metric device to determine whether or not the current financing system is working as intended, or if we need to tweak it in order to keep some teams, especially the struggling teams, see what we got to do to keep them viable and in the game. I probably should add in a change from last week to this week as far as their current wealth as well as their overall growth. Leading the league right now is the Industrialists at 68 wealth overall total combined net growth from the beginning of the season, followed closely by the Dragonborn and the Golden Suns. And of course, those 3 teams, as we mentioned a moment ago, are all basically well, that's not entirely true either, because the Industrialists are now sitting at 2 wins, 2 losses, and a tie. No, that doesn't sound right. 2 wins, a loss, and a tie, or something like that. And, of course, Dragonborn and Golden Suns are effectively undefeated. The only 2 teams currently undefeated, although the Golden Suns are skating on some very thin ice with that, being able to claim that. And then, of course, we've got the Debutantes and the Nationals, the Crows and Spirits closing out the teams that have managed to pull off some growth. The Honeybees and the Wolverines, and most disturbingly, the opposition, they are losing money as of right now from where they started. Honeybees only barely, and probably because they've lost their last 2 matches. I think with some careful, judicious use of their resources at hand and the options available to them, I'm sure the Honeybees can get back up on top. But again, this is meant to be kind of a snapshot of what the wealth system that I've written into the rules is doing, and if we need to tweak things in order to keep, for instance, a team like the opposition, who is currently, and the Wolverines for that matter, to keep them as viable teams. Now, I do want to point out one thing with the Wolverines and the Debutantes. Grimdark James, the player for the Debutantes team, did make something of a deal this week where, as long as the fight was, I don't remember specifically, but basically as long as the fight was a clean fight, an honorable fight, that the his team was going to give some of their money or some of their winnings to the Wolverines to help offset some of the repair costs after the match. So the numbers are not 100% indicative of match earnings and earnings from fans and everything else, but they are like 98, 99% at a minimum. Anyway, moving on. Draftees. The Dragonborn have been hit the hardest with drafts, which is understandable considering they are at the very top of the league when it comes to win and loss ratios. They are currently 4 wins and 0 losses, which means they're gaining additional modifiers that other teams are currently not facing when it comes to determining whether or not anybody from their team is drafted. What's making it even worse is that when the rolls are made with those modifiers, they are losing a pilot and a tech, and the other teams are managing to skate by without having taken any losses. Specifically, the Crows and the Honeybees having taken none thus far, despite both teams being 2-2. And then the Spirits, on the bottom end of things, I think they're 2-2 or 1-3, something like that. They've only lost 1 pilot so far. Golden Suns, Opposition, and Industrialists have all lost 1 pilot and 1 tech each. The Nationals even have lost 2 of their pilots and a tech, including 1 common pilot that I've liked from the very, very beginning of this entire league. That was, Janine Delhay. That was just one of those weird name things that's kind of stuck out with me. Even the Wolverines, 0-4, have lost 2 pilots and a tech. Just sometimes the dice gods roll up certain numbers, and that's how it goes. But again, Dragonborn being at the very top of the drafts, that's just, it is what it is. When you have a team doing well in what is effectively a minor league game, the major leagues are going to be calling to move people up. That's really what I was trying to emulate, and that is clearly working out here, as intended. To point out. All right, let's talk about the individual teams. Canopian Honeybees, 2 wins and 2 losses. Week 4, they took on the Luthien Dragonborn, and in the process of the match, their Stalker, which is an assault mech, got separated from the medium and light mech, which once that Stalker went down, it pretty much went downhill right from there. The Stalker was separated by the 2 the Warhammers, and it was unrecoverable at that point. Unfortunate. But a good performance all around. It's just, once you commit to a plan and then the plan fails, it tends to fall apart from that point on. My cat is meowing in the background, so hopefully you don't hear him too much. I'm actually about to spray him real quick. Hey! The Davian Golden Suns, 3 wins, 0 losses, 1 draw. This week they fought the Remoran Opposition, and I kind of was making a joke here. Despite their name, the Opposition was not an opposition. They effectively crumbled in short order, and I remember this match because we just played it just a few days ago. I just could not get a mech in a good position to be able to do anything, even with the awesome pelting the Golden Suns Atlas with 3 PPCs in a single round in the exact same location. In fact, that was in the first round of fire, if I'm not mistaken. It was just a tough match, and the Golden Suns outplayed the opposition. That's really, there's no other way to call it. Dover Crows, one of 2 expansion teams, now sitting at 2 wins and 2 losses. They took on the Merrick Industrialists this week. The Crows started with a dangerous cat and mouse game, but ultimately the Merrick firepower was just too much. And I think what that boiled down to was, in a lot of ways, the Merrick Industrialists brought a lot of laser fire to the match, and it was just not easily countered. I guess it couldn't be repelled. I don't know what else to call it. It was just a tough fight. My cat is got something he shouldn't be playing with. Hey, what is that? What you doing? What do you got? All right, moving on. Luthien Dragonborn, 4 wins and no losses. One of the 2 teams that are currently undefeated. And in this particular case, the Dragonborn are unquestionably, undisputedly undefeated. Straightforward run with the Warhammers taking the center of their map in the match against the Honeybees and holding on to the domination. And again, like I said, once the Stalker went down, it was pretty much the end of the fight. It just, again, another case of one team completely overpowering the other team, despite Luke's best effort. Good match to Jesus Christ, good fight to watch. Looking forward to both teams continuing onward in the season, obviously. The Lyran Debutantes. This is Grimdark James' team. This week, they took on the Rock City Wolverines. A wonderful appearance, able to outplay the Wolverines at every turn. And I remember vaguely this match at this point, because it's been almost 2 weeks since we had it. What I do remember distinctly from this match was just not being able to get in a good position to be able to amount to doing anything effective. Whether it was just outmaneuvering, initiative loss, or just bad rolls when it came time to firing. It just, nothing I could do worked out. Everything in that match pretty much went in Grimdark James' favor. It was a good fight nonetheless, but ultimately, Debutantes won. American Industrialists, 2 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, currently number 1 in the league, with a massive amount of points, most of which are gained from the Grasshopper round last week. This week they took on the Dover Crows, and it was just, as I said earlier, straight firepower that led the way and crushed the Crows, earning the Industrialists their 2nd win of the season. There's just no other way to call it. And I, of course, obviously I love my son, but it just was not a good match. And I tried to keep it fair and, not brutalize him, but there was nothing he could do. Total honesty there. Romoran Opposition, 1 win and 3 losses now. Their Week 4 opponent was the Davian Golden Suns. Again, a crushing defeat against this team that has been thoroughly outclassed, was thoroughly outclassed in virtually every way possible. And frankly, there's just no other way to call it. Another match where I just absolutely could not get anything to go my way. Any factor that could be considered for how you gain a victory over your opponent, it just was not working for me, despite my best efforts. Rock City Wolverines, in 9th place, 0 wins and 4 losses. Just classically outplayed and unable to gain any advantage. The Wolverines take yet another loss, but they did it with style, and I think that's one thing that I'm noticing with the Wolverines is they don't go down without a fight. They're 0-4. Based on wins and losses alone, they are at the bottom of the league, but with their cumulative victory points, they've gotten a couple of kills along the way, giving them enough points to stay ahead of the Romoran Opposition, which is the team that has won, and obviously teams that win will get more victory points. So, Wolverines, they're at the bottom of the league, but they're not dead last. And so that's how I'm going to call it. The Wolverines take another loss, but they did it with style. Cyan Spirits, also 1 win, 3 losses. They fought the Nationals this week, and even sadly, we've joked in the past about the Torian Nationals being kind of the joke team of the league. But now we might have to change that focus to the Spirits. Despite 2nd place overall in 30-22 season and a postseason appearance in the 30-23 season, the Spirits were just unable to score. They couldn't even get a single light met kill and had to take the demoralizing defeat that, obviously, it's going to be a demoralizing defeat when it's somebody like the Torian Nationals that beats your ass. It's just the way it is, I guess. And then lastly, we have the Torian Nationals. 2 wins and 2 losses. No playoff appearances until this most recent season, which was done off-screen, in which they were eliminated in the first round. And there's been comments about whether or not the Nationals making it to the playoffs was a fluke or not. Suddenly, after week 2, we've got the Torian Nationals doing something of a turnaround and starting to climb back up the leaderboard. Impressive work by the underdog team, now moving forward on a 2-win streak. That's all there is to it. Tory Nationals may have something of a resurgence here. We will see in the coming weeks. Speaking of coming weeks, current projections for the postseason. To reiterate, in case you missed the last recap video, the top 6 teams the top 6 teams at the end of the regular season will be locked in the playoffs. The other 4 teams, ranked 7, 8, 9, and 10, will have to do a preliminary round before they are put into the 8-team single elimination tournament in order to determine the Trinity Cup champions. There hasn't been a lot of movement on this projection from last week. I think the biggest thing was the Toria Nationals went from having a preliminary position up into the quarterfinal phase. And I want to say there was another team that moved around, but I don't remember specifically which one. And if there was a little bit of movement in the quarterfinals, but that was just simply based on the current rankings. Week 5, we're looking at week 5. It's going to be all player versus GM. So that means I will not be running matches against, playing as a GM team against another GM team. And it also looks like, with one exception, all the players will be in the away position, which ultimately doesn't really give much difference to how the match is played out. The only real big advantage the home player has is that they get to choose which side they deploy from first, forcing the away team to deploy from the exact opposite corner or edge. Week 5, we've got the Golden Suns taking on the Nationals. We've got the opposition facing the Crows, Spirits versus Debutantes, Industrialists versus Dragonborn. This is going to be a match to be watching for. I'm going to expect an awful lot of lasers and quite a fair amount of PPCs involved in that fight. And then lastly, the Wolverines taking on the Honeybees. And now for Olaf's predictions. Golden Suns versus the Nationals. Golden Suns. The Nationals have turned the lead for sure, but they just cannot compare to one of the top 3 teams in the league. And frankly, we saw it when we looked at the leaderboard. The Golden Suns, the Industrialists, and the Dragonborn are clearly locked in the top 3. It's going to take some shaking out to get those guys dropped down. Opposition for the Crows. Olaf says Crows, and I wish I was saying that more for the Crows than I am because the opposition have been on a downtick. I think what Olaf is getting at is he's leaning towards the Crows, but it's mostly because the opposition has been dropping down. Their performance this year has been, less than ideal, and so that's, I think Olaf wants to call the opposition, but he's leaning towards the Crows. I don't know. Spirits versus the Debutantes. Olaf is leaning towards the Debutantes, similar to the Crows, except the new management seems to be really nailing the key details of a winning team, and I think that's another thing that Olaf is impressed with. The Baron Isaac Weissman, the new manager of the Lyran Debutantes, i.e. Grimdark James. Olaf is enjoying what the Baron has brought to the team. Industrialists versus the Dragonborn. Olaf says it's going to be the Dragonborn, though it breaks his heart. As we all know, Olaf has always been an Industrialist fan, but he is favoring the Dragonborn in this fight at the moment. This is going to be, as I personally mentioned a moment ago, this will be a heavy energy weapon fight with a strong chance of melee. And then lastly, Wolverines versus the Honeybees. Olaf says it's going to be the Honeybees. Much as he loves the Wolverines, who are apparently classically trained, we all know that the Honeybees have them. And I think Olaf is coming from the standpoint of ain't nobody lost to the Wolverines, so why would the Honeybees be the first ones? I think that's my last slide. Yep, that is. Let me go ahead and take it back up here and turn the camera on for my closing thoughts, comments, etc. So yeah, we're moving into week 5 now. The players should be, I've already received, I'm going to say 2. It might actually be 3. Got to double check my DMs. But I've already received at least 2 players' experience points expenditures. Once I get everybody's experience points expenditures and I get all the rosters updated, I'll be looking at scheduling the matches for week 5, and then we should be getting those week 5 matches kicked off and published to YouTube sometime within the next week or so. I imagine by this time next week, we'll have our first match completed. That's going to be my throw a dart in the air and see where it lands kind of thing. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking at 5 teams and how I'm going to spend their accumulated experience points so I can make the 5 player teams, make their lives a personal hell in order to continue in this season. Of course, I've got some wrangling to do with the opposition simply because they are very low. Like, they have no money and they've got at least 3 busted ass mechs, and they've got to figure out how to make a working team that will actually go out and win and get them some money so they can fix the rest of their shit. But yeah, overall, week 4 has been fun. It took us a little while to get here from the end of week 3. We had a couple of scheduling concerns, and then, of course, just timing in general, real life for everybody. But stick around. I hope you're enjoying the show. If you have been enjoying the series, please consider joining the Discord. Consider the liking and the subscribing and all the other crap. Honestly, if I got what I wanted, I would want more people in the Discord, more people in the community, more people spreading the good word of what we're doing here, which made it sound a little religious, and I apologize for that because I didn't mean to go down that way. But yeah, just growing a community. That's what I'm really looking for here. At any rate, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my evening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, morning, noon, night, whatever it is for you, wherever you are. Stay safe out there, my friends. Catch you around next time.